Greetings to my colleagues and the citizens of Kazakhstan. My name is David Lankus from the University of Texas at Austin, and I'm happy and honored to be with you today as we talk about the importance of libraries, librarianship, and literacy. My work has been looking globally at what librarians do and what libraries do in order to make communities better. I'm going to spend a little time on that today, but just to give away the ending, the goal here is for libraries to be mechanisms of very local impact, where in our local impacts, whether that's in a town, whether that's in a university, whether that's in a school, how can we help people learn about themselves, about their government, about the world? And how can we empower people to make a difference in that world? Because that's ultimately what we're talking about. Literacy, digital literacy, information literacy, all of these types of literacies are power. Their power to learn and engage in ideas beyond just what happens locally. Their power to make decisions and to dream bigger. Their powers of aspiration. For too long, libraries have been seen as deficits, trying to fix communities. They're not literate enough, let's fix them. They don't understand technology, let's fix them. And increasingly what we're talking about with a new vibrant librarianship of the 21st century is how we help communities aspire and what is their unique contribution, their unique learning that they can share with the world. That's what we're talking about here, is how we can help people read, not simply to get the words, but to get ideas, to write, to develop their own world and share their worldview and their own history with their citizens, their neighbors, universities, the world. That's what we're here talking about, is how libraries can, with communities, make a better future. Now, I've titled this Librarians' Truth Guns, and that might seem like an odd phrase, but I want to tell you a little bit about where that comes from. Truth Guns comes from Archibald MacLeish. This is Archibald MacLeish. He was the Librarian of Congress here in the United States right before and during World War II. And what he began looking at was libraries as vital mechanisms and community infrastructure. The goal here was not simply to provide books or entertainment, but to truly inform and shape the world that they were a part of. He took the Library of Congress as a way of collecting information and turned it into a mechanism of strategizing, of discovering, of understanding, of mobilizing to let the average citizen be part of the great contribution, the great struggle. And his words were that librarians were great propaganda of truth guns, that librarians had a special role, that in a world of propaganda, in a world of restricted media, in a world of threats all around, librarians were there to prepare armor and prepare the citizens to make decisions, to prepare citizens and students and teachers and engineers and plumbers to take control of their lives and move things forward. That was the goal. And he talked about libraries as great propaganda truth guns. But this is where I want to talk a little bit about how I might differ from many other people talking about this. I was recently in a tweet on social media putting out the idea that, libraries had helped a certain function. They had done something. And one of the tweets back was, "The library always makes a difference." And I love that quote because I want it to be true, but it's not. A library doesn't always make a difference because, one, a library is a building or an organizational chart or a collection. It's people that make a difference. So I made a few edits. That a librarian always makes a difference. But then that's not always true too, because a librarian has to choose to make a difference. Simply having a library, simply having a collection of materials, simply having a place that people can get around isn't in and of itself that empowering. It doesn't promote literacy. We can't simply put a room full of books and have people walk through it and walk out reading. It's not how it works. We can't simply put together a bunch of forums and posters on how to understand the online world or how to get online or what to do and assume people can become digitally literate. It doesn't work that way. It takes people, a librarian, people working in the library, people overseeing funding. It takes professors. It takes tax dollars. It takes all of these things to have a direction and to choose to make a difference. There's nothing inherently valuable about a library. There's absolutely something fundamental and democratic in having a librarian work with their community to build and function as a library. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, which is, it may sound odd, but I want to help redefine what a library is. But to do that, I need to start by redefining what a librarian is. And that may sound odd, but we really don't have great definitions of what a librarian is. We tend to say people who work in a library. But what is a library? It becomes a sort of circular definition. And it also, back to my previous point, simply having a building and a collection builds you a beautiful closet. It takes a librarian to serve a community, to be in there working, understanding, side by side with the community to make a library. So let's start with, what is a librarian? Well, the first thing that makes a librarian is their mission. The mission of a librarian is to improve society through facilitating knowledge creation within their communities. Now, a couple of obvious things about this. First, it's the mission of a librarian, not the mission of a library, not the mission of some abstract organization, but an individual, a person who's dedicated to improving society. And that's the important part of this mission. We're working to make life better. And we don't do that just by filling holes, by helping people read or what have you. We do that by working with where a community wants to go. What is their aspiration? What is their dream? What does better mean? What does improve mean? Does it mean people who can read? Yes. Does it mean people have freedom to read ideas from across the globe? Yes. We know, for example, the best, richest learning comes from the most diverse sources, being able to look across a spectrum of ideas to develop our own. So that's the first thing. We're about making the world a better place. The second is how we do that. Facilitating knowledge creation within our communities is a big, long way of saying we help people learn. We have libraries not just to entertain or be quiet spaces